something that was promised around a year ago has actually turned up. It's 50 Cent's Diddy documentary. It's 4 parts, 4 hours long, and it's a walkthrough through Diddy's life.
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose.
The person that you of then was on a path of self-destruction.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would have, for sure, 100%. Yeah, it would have been no bueno. It was bad. I don't know if I'd be alive for sure. It was dark.
50 Cent just dropped the most explosive documentary of 2025. Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy, hit Netflix in early December and instantly lit up the internet. The footage was intense, the claims were serious, and with Diddy sitting in a Brooklyn jail cell awaiting trial, the timing looked unreal.
50 Cent has been working on this documentary for almost 2 years. The footage he has is insane. The people he got speaking about Diddy is ridiculous.
But the wild part? Netflix didn't show everything. Some stories were too messy, some witnesses were too risky, and some allegations surfaced the moment the documentary went live.
Did they talk about the man who nutted on his nipples?
I didn't hear the nut on the nipples.
50 was not about to put that
did not talk about the nut on nipples, but they do have jurors in there that
He
talk
should have
about.
put that after the sanitizer part.
So today, we're covering the scenes that never made it, because they raised questions Netflix wouldn't touch. Let's set the stage. March 9th, 1997, Los Angeles. Biggie had already made it from hustler in Brooklyn to rap royalty. But the city he stepped into was tense, still recovering from Tupac's murder just 6 months earlier. Rumors flew, threats lurked in the shadows, and everyone in hip-hop knew LA wasn't safe. Biggie was in town promoting Life After Death, his second album. He had interviews, parties, appearances. His life was moving fast. And on that night, despite everything, he showed up at a Vibe magazine party at the Petersen Automotive Museum. Some said it was pride, some said it was business. Either way, he still showed up. Then it happened. On the way back to his hotel, his SUV was ambushed at the corner of Wilshire and South Fairfax. 4 bullets, 1 fatal. Biggie was gone before the city even had a chance to process it. Another legend taken, another chapter of the East Coast-West Coast feud written in blood.
Early this morning in Los Angeles, the 24-year-old rapper whose real name is Christopher Wallace lived in Raleigh in the 1980s.
FBI agents are looking for a man they say could. Both communities are mourning the death of the rapper known as Notorious B.I.G.
But here's another thing Netflix didn't show. The side story that night involving Mace. While Biggie's death made headlines, Mace was holed up in a hotel, surrounded by about 70 Bloods.
I actually was trapped in a hotel. It was about probably like 70 or so Bloods in the hallway. I couldn't even leave my room.
No exaggeration, he was trapped. Some people whispered that he might have been a secondary target. Why? Because Mace supposedly had receipts, information about the inner workings of Bad Boy, secrets nobody wanted to see the light of day. He couldn't just step out. He couldn't call for help. Nobody from the crew came looking for him. It was every man for himself. Eventually, a former Bad Boy security guard, Gene Deal, had to navigate through all the chaos to get him out.
Early that morning, when Puff had got on a plane and left Mace, we went and got him and let him meet some dudes from Black Hands. We went and got Mace. Mace came down, went to his car, and he got.
But that night changed Mace forever. Loyalty, he realized, could disappear in a heartbeat. The people he trusted were gone, and he never forgot it. And here's the kicker. Years later, Mace spoke up about that night in LA, the things he saw, the chaos behind the scenes, the secrets, the receipts, the tension that could have ripped the crew apart. He hinted at truths that Netflix didn't touch, stories about power, fear, and loyalty in the Bad Boy empire, things that could have completely flipped what people saw on screen. Now, and if you think that's intense, it's only part of the picture, because the very next story, the one Netflix didn't touch, hit just 1 day after the documentary went live, and it shook the hip-hop world in a way no one expected. On December 8, 2024, a lawsuit surfaced that could have completely rewritten what 50 Cent had just released on Netflix. A woman, identified only as Jane Doe, amended her existing case against Diddy and added another name, Sean Jay-Z Carter. The allegations? That both Diddy and Jay-Z assaulted her when she was just 13 years old, allegedly at an MTV Video Music Awards after-party back in 2000.
A woman who accused the two hip-hop artists of sexual assault when she was 13.
Stop and think about that for a second. This wasn't just some minor claim. These are two of the biggest names in hip-hop, accused of a crime that shocked the imagination. And the timing? Unreal. The original doc came out one day before this lawsuit hit the headlines. If this had happened just a week or two earlier, it likely would have reshaped the entire narrative of the documentary. Jay-Z responded immediately, calling the allegations idiotic and accusing the lawyer, Tony Busby, of trying to shake down celebrities.
Diddy and Jay-Z denying any wrongdoing, Jay-Z calling the allegations frivolous, fictitious, and appalling.
He made it clear he thought the claims were nothing more than theatrics. Meanwhile, Diddy, in classic fashion, has often referred to Jay-Z as his brother, a sign of deep respect and loyalty in the industry. That bond makes them maybe birds of a feather, two of the most powerful forces in hip-hop, tied together by empire, influence, and decades of shared history.
What's that? That's Mob King?
Niggas feeling marvelous.
You gotta get the shoes though. Y'all know what it is.
But the point here isn't who's guilty or not. It's that this story too was too big, too explosive, and it didn't make it into the final cut. Netflix, it seems, played it safe. And here's where it gets interesting. Busby, the lawyer behind the case, has a history of filing high-profile lawsuits against Diddy. He's no stranger to controversy. So when Jay-Z's name appeared, it wasn't just a coincidence. It was a calculated escalation, one that the documentary didn't account for. In other words, the day after Netflix went live, the narrative changed overnight. And anyone watching the documentary didn't see it coming. This is the kind of story that makes you step back and wonder, how much of the real drama, the messy, dangerous, behind-the-scenes truth, actually makes it onto the screen? And just like that, the Netflix version of Diddy's empire was missing one of its most explosive chapters. The story of Jay-Z, Diddy, and Jane Doe changed the narrative overnight, but viewers didn't see it coming. That's the thing about the documentary. Some stories were just too dangerous, too messy, or too sensitive to air. And one of the biggest missing files? Kim Porter. Her story didn't make it into the doc either, but it's a thread that runs straight through the bad boy universe. Kim Porter wasn't just Diddy's ex, she was the mother of his children, an important figure in his life for decades, and someone who saw everything behind the empire's polished exterior. And the events leading up to her death make it clear why Netflix left her story out. Kim died unexpectedly on November 15, 2018, officially from pneumonia, but her final days were anything but ordinary. Weeks before she passed, she attended a Hollywood premiere with Diddy, the Netflix premiere of the holiday calendar, starring her son Quincy Brown. Reports say Kim wasn't feeling well. She had flu symptoms, a fever over 102, but she went out anyway. Diddy, ever concerned with appearances, allegedly pushed for her presence. Cameras, lights, the perfect family tableau. Quincy in the center, her twin daughters on either side, Diddy at the forefront, and Kim with a forced smile. She may have gone along with it, but it was clear her health was compromised. There's more. Kim had reportedly been considering writing a book, a tell-all about life in the music world and the people close to her. Some friends claimed it would have been about raising well-mannered kids in Hollywood, but fans speculated she had witnessed things Diddy might not have wanted exposed. Her relationship with Diddy was complicated. They met in 1994, had their first child in 1998, split when Diddy dated Jennifer Lopez, reconciled, had twins in 2003, and broke up again in 2007 after the revelation of a secret child with an associate. Despite everything, they co-parented, and Kim remained an important figure in the family. There were darker episodes too. During one separation, Kim was involved with Shakir Stewart, a Def Jam executive. Reports say Diddy reacted violently, leaving her with a broken nose. Months later, Stewart died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, though rumors suggested possible foul play. These details added layers to a story that Netflix didn't touch. In her last days, Kim's concern for her children was evident. She sent them to Diddy's house while she recovered from the flu. 3 days before she died, she told him to take care of them. And while Kim Porter's story was quietly left out, another major piece of the puzzle is Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, and a man who knows the inside of the empire better than almost anyone alive. If you've ever dug into Diddy's history online, you've probably seen Gene Deal's interviews. He's been telling his story for years, exposing what he calls the dark side of Diddy, the side that never makes headlines and certainly didn't make it into 50 Cent's Netflix documentary. Gene worked with Diddy during the height of Bad Boy Records in the 90s, when Biggie was alive and when Puff Daddy was running the industry. He was there for it all. The late-night parties, the studio sessions, the business deals, the drama. He witnessed the loyalty, the betrayal, and the secrets that came with the power of Bad Boy. And he hasn't been shy about sharing it. His interviews have millions of views. He's appeared on podcasts like Anything Goes with James English and has collaborated with other insiders to talk about tunnels, rituals, and alleged occult practices behind the scenes of the music world. But watch 50 Cent's Netflix documentary, and you'll notice something striking. Gene Deal is nowhere to be found. Not one clip, not one mention, nothing. Why? Because his stories are intense, not the kind of thing Netflix wants to fact-check or dispute. Gene Deal isn't talking about gossip. He's talking about alleged occult rituals and moments that defy easy explanation. His most famous story involves Central Park in 1999, right before Diddy's nightclub shooting trial. According to Gene, Diddy was terrified he might be convicted, so he took Gene to Central Park to meet a man who performed rituals. What happened next sounds straight out of a movie. Diddy dropped to his knees. The man waved smoke and burned something, maybe sage around him, and then he brought out a caged white bird. Gene says the man instructed Diddy to participate in a sacrifice ritual to avoid conviction. Afterward, they went straight to the courthouse for the verdict. Believe it or not, Gene Deal swears it happened. He's told this story countless times, with the same details each time. The exact location in Central Park, what Diddy was wearing, even the time of day. He doesn't sound like someone making up drama for clicks. He sounds like a man who saw something he still can't fully explain. But Netflix? They skipped it. Because how do you verify an alleged animal sacrifice in Central Park 25 years ago? You can't. And that's the problem. Gene Deal's stories are too controversial, too unverifiable, and too dark for mainstream audiences. Yet millions of YouTube viewers have already heard him, soaking in these behind-the-scenes revelations that reveal a side of Diddy no documentary dared touch. The fact is, Gene Deal wasn't just some random guy. He worked for Diddy for years. He's credible, and he witnessed the highs and lows of an empire that still dominates hip-hop culture. But in the eyes of Netflix, some stories are too explosive, too strange, too risky to air. And that's why the world never saw this chapter in 50 Cent's documentary, even though it's been played out millions of times online. It's the ultimate deleted scene, the behind-the-scenes truth that only exists in whispers, interviews, and the memories of someone who was actually there. While Kim Porter's story was quietly left out, and Gene Deal's wild Central Park ritual never made it into the documentary, there's another file that Netflix refused to touch. Justin Bieber. Yes, the pop star. And if you think 50 Cent's doc was already explosive, this one takes things to a completely different level. Back in November 2009, Bieber was just 15 years old. He was still a kid from Canada who had just been discovered on YouTube, singing in his bedroom and dreaming big. And then Diddy posted a video on his official YouTube channel titled Justin Bieber 48 Hours with Diddy. At first glance, it looks like a fun celebrity hangout. Diddy says he has custody of Bieber for the next 48 hours, calling it a 15-year-old's dream, and promising that they're about to have the time of their lives. But then he drops a line that makes your skin crawl. Where we're hanging out and what we're doing, we can't really disclose.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose.
Think about that for a second. You're 15 years old with one of the most powerful men in music, and he openly tells the world that what you're doing together can't be talked about. That's not normal. That's not mentorship. That's, well, it's suspicious. And it's all online for anyone to see. In the video, Bieber is smiling, but knowing what we know now, it hits differently. Diddy talks about him like he's a prize, like this kid is a trophy to be shown off. And again, this is 2009. Bieber was new to the industry, vulnerable, and suddenly in the orbit of one of hip-hop's most influential figures. Fast forward to 2024. Diddy's arrest puts all eyes back on old footage, and this video resurfaces. Fans watch it again, and the reaction is intense. Comment sections blow up. People are calling it creepy, predatory, and disturbing. Some even describe it as more like a horror film than a celebrity hangout. Then, in May 2025, Justin Bieber finally broke his silence. His representative clarified, although Justin is not among Sean Combs' victims, there are individuals who were genuinely harmed by him.
Person that the you of then was on a path of self-destruction.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I would have, for sure, 100%. Yeah. It would have been no bueno. It was bad. I don't know if I'd be alive for sure. It was dark. Very grateful to have influences in my life that have played a huge part in me seeing their relationship with Jesus and their relationship with their wives and their relationship with their kids and saying that's what I want.
So here's the thing. Bieber is saying he personally wasn't a victim, but he's also confirming that harm happened to others. And that carefully worded statement raises more questions than it answers. What really happened during those 48 hours? Why couldn't Diddy disclose what they were doing? And if Bieber was safe, why did the video feel so uncomfortable enough to warrant a statement years later? Netflix didn't touch this either. Maybe because Bieber denied being a victim. Maybe because speculation could open legal doors. But the reality is, this footage is some of the most watched Diddy content online today, and it's nowhere in 50 Cent's documentary. Now let's talk about Usher. Because what happened to him with Diddy is one of the most disturbing stories Netflix barely even mentioned. In the early 1990s, Usher was just 13 years old. His family sent him to live with Diddy for an entire year. It was called Puffy Flavor Camp. The idea was simple. Diddy would mentor him, show him the ropes, and help him become a star. But the reality was anything but simple.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
Think about it. A 13-year-old living full-time with a grown man who was throwing wild parties, running a label, and living a lifestyle most adults couldn't handle. And it wasn't just mentorship. Usher has called the year wild and crazy, saying he was exposed to things no 13-year-old should ever see.
These are places that a 13-year-old probably should not be.
By the time he was 15, Usher was surrounded by parties, women, drugs, and sexual situations. Daily. Not once or twice, every day for a year. And it wasn't some fun learning experience. It was an adult world that could have derailed him at any moment.
There to see the lifestyle, right? And I saw it. It was pretty wild. There were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand.
When Howard Stern asked him if he would ever send his own children to Puffy Flavor Camp, Usher didn't hesitate. Hell no, he said.
Crazy.
You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
That answer says everything. He survived it, built a career, won Grammys, and became one of the biggest R&B artists of all time, but he would never put his own kids in that environment. After Diddy's 2024 arrest, fans noticed something else. Usher allegedly deleted his entire Twitter account. Every post was gone. People wondered, was he distancing himself, scrubbing evidence, or just tired of being asked questions about Diddy? Netflix barely touched this. Maybe a quick flash of old footage, a throwaway mention at best. Nothing that actually dug into what happened during that year. And that's the problem. Because when you look at Usher, then Justin Bieber, and all the other young stars who crossed paths with Diddy, a pattern starts to appear. One that the documentary chose to ignore. Usher's story shows it clearly. A kid, too young, thrown into an adult world with access to things he shouldn't have had. and Netflix left that story on the cutting room floor. Now let's talk about one of the more unusual stories connected to Diddy, the situation involving a young girl named Ava Baroni. In 2020, a video appeared online showing Diddy with Ava. In the clip, she calls him Papa Combs. He kisses her on the cheek, and he tells the camera that he adopted her. He also mentioned that he received permission from her mother and compared himself to several celebrities known for adopting children.
Yes, it was breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you.
When the video came out, many viewers assumed it was a genuine adoption announcement. It spread widely, and people reacted as though Diddy had officially taken Ava into his family. But soon after, questions began to surface. Where was the paperwork? Why were there no public records? Why did Ava not appear in later family photos or events? Then, in September 2024, TMZ reported that Diddy had not legally adopted Ava Baroni. According to that report, the video was described by people close to the family as a skit. Ava was said to be a close friend of Diddy's twin daughters, and the moment was presented as something playful rather than official. As for Ava's current situation, not much is publicly known. She hasn't appeared in recent footage, and there haven't been any public statements from her or her family. Most likely, she is living privately and staying out of the spotlight. Still, the original video continues to raise questions because of how it was presented. Viewers wondered why Diddy framed it as an adoption if no adoption took place, why the moment was shared publicly, and what the intention behind the video actually was. Those questions remain unanswered. And this entire situation, the announcement, the misunderstanding, and the later clarification, is not addressed in the Netflix documentary. Perhaps because no legal adoption occurred, it didn't fit the scope of the film, or maybe it was considered too unclear or easily misinterpreted to include. In the end, all these stories, some confirmed, some disputed, and many still unanswered, show just how much remains outside the edges of the documentary, and how complex the full picture truly is.